Assalamualaikum, I am Muhammad KHAIRUL Amir bin HANAPIAH, and I would like to start my presentation with introducing the ASEAN and AEC. ASEAN was formed primarily as a political group and security pact. Southeast Asia is presently regarded as one of the world's most open economic areas. The main goal of ASEAN was to encourage intergovernmental cooperation and economic integration among its member states. It had the specific goal of boosting economic growth and trade. In order to achieve this, ASEAN formed the AEC blueprint. ASEAN as an organization has greatly aided its members in attaining significant economic growth. As a result of these tremendous successes, ASEAN member states understood that they could accomplish much more if they act as a unified economic body.
I'm NADIA FARRAZIELA RAMLI. I'm going to talk about the issue in AEC. The issue is ASEAN economic problem, which is the growth of PRC economy, and India leads to the formation of the AEC because of the external pressure on economic unification. External changes have pushed ASEAN toward to regional economic integration since the late 1980s in order to fight adequately for world market and investment. Then, in response to a perceived external threat posed by PRCs and Indians' economic development, the AEC was established around 2003. Both of the big countries, PRC and India, is a massive domestic market, whereas the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is constituted of 10 tiny disjointed markets, unless an ASEAN as regional economic market can be advanced. An ASEAN market that is fully integrated, along with integration well with the rest of East Asia and abroad, will allow ASEAN to effectively respond to the PRC and India's opportunities and challenges. ASEAN centrality has traditionally been based on ASEAN serving as a neutral platform for great powers to meet in order to prevent a single control dominating the East Asian region. With the growth of China and India as in 1990s, the concept of ASEAN centrality gained traction with the idea of an ASEAN-led developing country context within the region's economic and political security context, with the rest of the globe conducted in ASEAN community-based interests. However, behind of the importance of the PRC and India to ASEAN's economy enhance the member nations' desire in gaining advantages from a larger and more integrated domestic economy rather than being a hindrance. The greater the market size and cohesion, the more likely it is to achieve economy of size in activities which makes the ASEAN domestic economy more appealing. Reduce transaction costs, progressive unification of origin law, and improve infrastructure are all goals.
As of April 2020, there was about 36,000 COVID-19 cases in the region with 1,330 deaths. Each Southeast Asian country has imposed a Movement Control Order (MCO) for a few weeks to slow the spread of the virus. However, the Asian members face the COVID-19 dilemma. The Asian community appears to be missing. So, Southeast Asian countries are beginning to wonder whether AEC is in the midst of the COVID-19 problem. Despite the announcement of the AEC Blueprint 2025 in 2015, they have failed to propose a specific plan of action to accomplish goal. Some would even argue that AEDC rhetoric is primarily for show that it is too good to be true. There are no plans in the place to mitigate the economic effect of the crisis in Southeast Asia. Instead, the Asian Economic Minister issued a joint statement expressing worry about the COVID-19 outbreak and highlighting the significance of Asian collaboration in dealing with this situation, but the AEC has yet to take any action.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is MOHAMAD bin ROSLI. So for the investment issue for ASEAN, according to HHU Lockney, Professor of Law at the Singapore Management University, not all unresolved disputes as undefined in the protocol adopted in 2010 are referable to the ASEAN Summit. ASEAN Enhanced Dispute Settlement Mechanism, ADS560, currently has weak financial and institutional support. An ASEAN member would rather refer the trade and investment dispute to the World Trade Organization, that is WTO, then to the ASEAN bodies provider for the ASEAN Charter.
I am Amanina and I'm going to continue with the last issue. Free trades of goods and services in Asian Economic Community, AEC, are issues that lead to formation of Asian Economic Community, AEC. Regional economic integration is expected to boost productivity and regional industry competitive nature, as well as make Asia more appealing to investors. However, the Asian economy is still overly dependent on economies outside the region for export and market supply of imported material, investment, capital and technology. Therefore, Asia must implement a variety of strategies to strengthen regional cohesion and economic complementary. One of the elements that Asia takes in order to expanding and deepening economic integration are free trades in goods and services. These free trades of goods will create a single market and manufacturing base that makes AEC achieve. Free trades of goods will also remove the tariff barriers.
Now I'm going to talk about the purpose of ASEAN Economic Community. What is the purpose of ASEAN Economic Community? The ASEAN Economic Community was founded in December 2015. The main goal of AEC is to construct a single ASEAN market and production base. The AEC is an economic integration whose primary purpose free movement of goods, skilled labor, services, capital and investment. The AEC increased economic cooperation among ASEAN members by establishing the ASEAN Free Trade Area. The AEC addresses issues like as mutual acknowledgement of standards, intellectual properties concern, regulation, infrastructure development, and reducing the infrastructure gaps. The AEC contributes to global economic integration by engaging in worldwide supply chains and actively encouraging free trade agreement with nations beyond the regions. ASEAN is now implementing the AEC Blueprint 2025, which was as planned formed by the end of 2015.
For the first AEC pillar, single market and production base, the first pillar consists of free flow of goods, free flow of investment, free flow of capital, priority integration sector, and food, agriculture and security. AEC initiative will help Asian investors fully tap on potential of Asian market and enable companies in the region to access resources. This means companies can save on production costs, focus on its specialization or maximize economies of scale without necessarily leaving high potential market areas within the region. For the second AEC pillar, competitive economic region, the second pillar consists of competition policy, consumer protection, intellectual property rights, and infrastructure development. The Asian Economic Community AEC envision Asia as a competitive economic region. Investors can be assured that as Asian member states work toward realizing this vision, businesses can expect reform and initiatives that aim to establish goals for each of the elements. For the third pillar of AEC, equitable economic development, Asian Blueprint for SME development aims to boost the growth of local businesses across in the region. ASEAN also seeks to strengthen the application of additional expertise and load programs for the commercial and social sector. If these initiatives are successful, entrepreneurs can anticipate a high number of SMEs participating in establishment of a local manufacturing network. For the last AEC pillar, integration into the global economy, ASEAN aspire to be a far more proactive and powerful component of the international source change. The community will remain to monitor the free trade agreement and comprehensive economic partnership because it is a signatory in supporting Asian firms in entering and integrating into the global market.
Basically, parties that involved in Asian Economic Community are countries in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is known as ASEAN. These countries are mainly from Southeast Asia. There are 10 member states that join ASEAN, namely Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. In January 2007, where ASEAN Summit 12 occurred, leaders reaffirmed their strong commitment to establish the ASEAN community by 2015. This ASEAN community is including ASEAN Economic Community with a 2.3 trillion market and 600 million people. The AEC intends to reach a single integrated market through regional economic integration. Next is others country that involves with ASEAN. During the formation of ASEAN Economic Community AEC, many non-Asian member states, namely China, United States, EU, Japan, Hong Kong and others countries are get involved in business with ASEAN. ASEAN operates business with non-Asian, hence to increase their economic performance at once to achieve the AEC Blueprint 2025, which to reach a more integrated economic community by deepening economic integration, including inclusion in the global economy. China can be one of the examples for non-Asian countries that usually perform business with ASEAN. Back then in July 1991, the foreign minister stated that China's willingness to work with ASEAN in order to benefit both parties. Since 2009, China has become ASEAN's largest trading partner. Besides, from 2010 to 2019, ASEAN export to China increased at 10.4% annual rate. Moreover, business between ASEAN and China are including import and export goods. For instance, the import and export goods are electrical machinery, toys, sport equipment, furniture, soybean and others goods. Additionally, EU also one of the non-Asian countries that established business relationship with ASEAN, with US $280.6 billion in total trade in 2019. The EU has been ASEAN's the largest trading partner after China and the US. Further, EU been ranked third among Asian FDI provider, making up for 10.1% of total FDI inflows into Asia. The EU's goods trade deficits with Asian countries remains. Total EU trades with Asian countries increased significantly between 2010 and 2019, but both fell in 2020 as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Food and drinks, chemical, energy, and soybean are the products that export and import between ASEAN and EU. EU and ASEAN has been working together for nearly 15 years.
Now I'm going to explain about non-tariff barriers. AEC is a fantastic idea. Establishing an AEC for ASEAN is quite beneficial. It also aids in the resolution of problems for all Asian countries. In recent years, the AEC has removed tariff barriers. On the other hand, there are various or non-tariff obstacles that makes this AEC difficult. AEC must deal with non-tariff barriers after settling tariff barriers, making it more difficult to implement and get business to really expand within ASEAN in terms of trade that had to flourish within ASEAN unless we have a very new and refreshed approach to tackling the non-tariff barriers, the hidden barriers, and we will be relatively slow in achieving the objective. Second is unimpressive progress made in liberalizing trade in service. Trade liberalization is a strategy for economic growth and development with the goal of lowering barriers to trade. Liberalizing intra-ASEAN trade in service is said to be crucial to the regional economic integration. The present AEC blueprint as well as the ASEAN framework agreement on service are insufficient for this goal. Third is unambitious liberalization goals. Trade liberalization refers to the removal or reduction of restriction and impediments to the free movement of goods between countries. Tariffs like taxes and surcharge are well to non-tariff barriers like requirements and quotas are examples of these impediments. Economists usually perceive these restrictions being loosened or removed as a way to promote free trade.
The final challenge for AEC is to implement the blueprint. Due to the different cultures and business practices of AEC member countries, it is expected that there will be some problems in implementing the blueprint. One of it is there are several competing visions of integration, and the process of globalization has been criticized and rejected. Even though the blueprint has a detailed plan, there is always an unexpected challenge that comes during the implementation. The AEC country members need to make a choice between two uncertainties. The first one is they feel that is it reasonable to devote time and effort to detail in advance of uncertain future events? Next is, can one be sure that the appropriate route has been picked if there isn't a precise map to follow along the way? Therefore, to implement the blueprint, it demands flexibility in making modifications when there are new facts are being discovered, as well as faith in political maturity to guarantee that amendments are not perceived as failures, all within the bounds of skill judgment about when to continue and when to improve the blueprint. Additionally, the blueprint had a difficult time being implemented because of the changes that happened in the external world. Furthermore, AEC member countries are individual economies, and to adjust towards an interdependent economy could be quite a tough job to adapt. And now, we'll continue with the suggestion. The first one is, AEC member can take Singapore as an example of how to improve their country's economy. Most of the AEC member nations continue to encounter major obstacles in identifying, implementing, and enforcing investor rights, but Singapore have overcome all those obstacles and managed to become a country that is ranked number 189 doing business by the World Banks. Therefore, the AEC member nations should take Singapore as the example to attract the companies to invest in their country. They can follow Singapore's way on how they do business, how they control their economy, and also the law that they make. Although it can be hard to change the way of business and their law, a little change can lead to a greater opportunity for the country. Next is the second suggestion, which is improve the cross-border business opportunities. To make ASEAN become successful like the European Union, EU, and manage to achieve all the pillars that have been established, the AEC needs to come up with a plan that will ultimately unify all of the Asian member countries and their production base. Some changes also need to be made, especially with the policies. The Asian nations have their advantages, which are they have their natural resources, many structural capabilities, and also labor skills. The AEC should be seen as an opportunity for the companies to expand their business and utilize every country's diverse resources as the cross-border trade is expanding. Therefore, the AEC needs to find a way to tackle the cross-legal and also cross-cultural difference among the AEC countries member. By overcoming and improving the cross-border, it will become a really great benefit to all the AEC country members. And now we'll be continuing with the last suggestion, which is strengthen the relationship between ASEAN. Due to the different cultures and business practices of AEC member countries, it is expected that there will be some problems in implementing the blueprint. To solve these disputes, strengthen the relationship between ASEAN and attract investors to the country member is by using the rule bilateral investment treaties, BITs, and multilateral investment treaties, MITs, or free trade agreement. This rule will grant some rights and remedies to investors who have been wronged by their host country. The AEC needs to be cautious towards the improvement of treaty-based investor protections, the complexity of the region's numerous legal frameworks, as well as current push toward regionalized conflict settlement. Hence, companies that come to invest in a local country should seek and consider the protection that is available for them and also monitor how the country solves dispute that happens in the country.
Last but not least, we go to the conclusion. From the ASEAN organization, AEC been created for purpose reason for ASEAN market and production. It became the ultimate goal to create AEC since ASEAN faced many problems, issues, challenges for economic integration before AEC was created. Alongside with the AEC formation, we allow free movement of commodities, services, skilled labor and investment among the 10 ASEAN member countries, as well as easier money transfer. This blueprint serves as a master plan for the implementing the AEC, outlining precise reform, targets and timetables. In aggregate, the AEC represents a massive potential market for investors. Besides that, with the suggestions such as AEC member can take Singapore as an example on how to improve their country's economy, improve the cross-border business opportunities, and strengthen their relationship between ASEAN, will make ASEAN region is successfully making it as a major participant in the international stage. That's all for me. Thank you.